Greetings, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. The Association of Italian Canadian Writers, the AICW, is pleased to present the Books and Biscotti Literary Series Open Mic. My name is Licia Canton, past president of the AICW, and I am pleased to co-host the first Zoom Books and Biscotti. I recognize that we are all on different territories at this time, but I want to take a moment to acknowledge that I am located on unceded Indigenous lands. Tiohtià:ke, Montreal, is historically known as a gathering place for many First Nations. The Association of Italian Canadian Writers acknowledges them and other nations who care for the land across our country, recorded and unrecorded. And we pay our respects to Canada's first storytellers. Today, we will listen to 8 distinguished writers, all members of the Association of Italian Canadian Writers. Morgan Di Giovanni, Lillian Conti, Connie Guzzo-McParland, Rosanna Micelotta Battigelli, Silvia Falsaperla, Marisa De Franceschi, Anna Foschi Ciampolini, Anna Ciardullo Villapiana. Please remain muted during the entire event. You can type in questions using the chat at any time during the readings. We will read them all during question period. First, let me introduce my co-host, Delia de Santis, who is also the vice president of the Association of Italian Canadian Writers. Delia.
Thank you, Licia. It's good to be here and see everybody's face from afar. Good afternoon or good evening, wherever you are. This presentation is brought to you from the Association of Italian Canadian Writers. It's a national nonprofit organization that brings together a community of writers, critics, academics, and other artists. The AICW's mission is to support and encourage the expression and dissemination of the Italian-Canadian experience. One need not be a resident of Canada to join. We have over 100 members and quite a few are from other countries. These writers write in one or more of these languages: English, French, Italian, and even dialect. New members are always welcome. The AICW organizes a conference every 2 years, and the works presented will result in the publication of a volume. These books are displayed and some still available on the AICW website. Check them out at AICW.ca. Connect with the AICW Canada for our Facebook page, Instagram, and Twitter. And now I would like to welcome everyone to our first AICW virtual book and Biscotti event of Open Mic Literary Readings. Before COVID-19, these events would be held by our members, authors in different cities, and readers would mostly be local writers from where the organizer lived. This event is different, but also remarkable in the sense that we're bringing to the public strong literary voices from different parts of Canada and right into our homes. This makes it truly a unique national event. And now I'm pleased to bring to you readings by our writers to go to our virtual podium. Our first presenter is Morgan Di Giovanni from Toronto. Welcome, Carolyn.
Oh, hello, and thank you very much for organizing this. I want to thank Licia and especially Delia. It's a wonderful opportunity. Can I be heard? Can you hear me? Okay, thank you. I'll start with two poems in honor of some wonderful writers who've contributed a great deal to the Italian-Canadian history, and both we lost in the last few years. First, Pier Giorgio Di Chico. The poem is titled Di Chico Poet. Oh, he was quite a sight. The leather jacket and the slouching hat over his sharp eyes, surging into the crusty can-lit tea room, all Italian rhythm and saucy confidence. It wasn't all illusion, not exactly. The magic act encaptured an eager generation, while all the time inside something else was going on, flying deeper into the end of the century when the soul emerged, dazed and struggling. Those sharp eyes were liberated, no need for hat or collar, no need for any costume. Now he was free for flight. That's Pier Giorgio. The other is our friend Venera Fazio. This is a sonnet for Venera. How beautiful to see the world with love, to face each day with joy and hopefulness. The pleasure of a smile, token of a deep, abiding spirit. Such finesse extends consideration of the world outwards to places that informed the core in other generations of the bold, young, and courageous ones who came before. Real joy contains the wisdom to discern the sometimes bitter aftertaste of pain, to go beyond the suffering and turn towards that which restores the spirit once again. So, like Sicilian lemons, tart and sweet, one life comprises all to be complete. So that's for Venera. The next poem is a bit longer, and it's actually a narration in two voices. This poem covers the story of Francis of Assisi when he walked in the 13th century to the Holy Land to try to negotiate peace between the Sultan and the knights of the crusade. Unfortunately, that land is still subject to serious warfare. When Francis walked to the Holy Land, his sandals split and his robe was torn. Overhead surveillance drones silently traced the road. He walked steadfastly, and his pace was matched by the Mahatma Gandhi. Soul to soul, they conversed. Armored tanks of war line the border crossing. Hot sun hammered down on the rock-strewn road below. The two pilgrims made their way. Long shadows spread behind them. A roadside bomb goes off, detonated by marching boots. Peace was the dream the walkers shared. Knowing the world would ignore them, they vowed to resist the apathy. They would carry on. After a time, Martin joined them, and their conversation took the form of quiet prayer. Young men move rockets into place. Desert sand becomes camouflage. Looking ahead, the travelers could see the mushroom shapes of the Sultan's nomadic tents surrounded by troughs of burning hot coals, the barricades intended to keep out infidels. Destructive canisters drop down, opened by children who think they are toys. The Sultan recognized Francis, knew of his peaceful ways. Therefore, he invited him to enter as a holy man. Francis washed his face and hands, stepped across the burning coals unharmed. Mahatma also crossed, then Martin, with the confidence of faith. War rages on. A day at the market explodes into sudden death. Nobody claims responsibility. Thank you.
Thank you, Carolyn. That was beautiful. Took us down memory lane. Thank you. And next we have Lillian Conti from Woodbridge, Ontario. Lillian?
Hi, everyone. And thank you, Licia and Delia and the Association of Italian Canadian Writers. Thank you for this opportunity. I thought that today I would introduce this new book. It's called Where's God? Teens Want to Know. And it's very interesting that I want to start with the cover. The cover is actually a beautiful picture of God's creation. It's my daughter here, who is part of the book, who was the protagonist of the writings that I'm going to share with you. And she was in Victoria and actually took this photograph. And when we were looking for a cover, she said, "Mom, this is beautiful. The mountains are God-made." And so, Where's God? Teens Want to Know. It's the most interesting cover is God himself who created the cover. So that's one of the most amazing things about this book. The other ones are that this is a God-inspired book. I was teaching religion in high schools here in Woodbridge, and the children, the students from grade 9 to 12 would come up to me after a class and say, "Miss, we don't understand who God is. Where is he? And what does he look like? And why does my mother have to die at such an early age? And does she become an angel?" And questions went on and on and on. So one day I decided I was going to collect all the questions that they had and put them in this book, which is a 500-page book. And it's actually going into the schools as a book for the teachers themselves to use as already done, as I will mention as we go on. But it is a great mission tool that responds to the questions, as I mentioned, about this from the students of grade 9 to 12. And it explores the origins of humanity, angels, demons, scripture, and the essence of God. Discusses philosophical, theological, spiritual, and moral concepts. It's a mysterious plot that is hidden in clever email communications between a seeking teenager called Elizabeth, name Elizabeth, and Philip, who's God's agent. There's a little bit of a mystery about this Philip, which is actually revealed at the last chapter, which is actually written during the rain, the frozen rain, the storm that had the frozen rain and in 2013. And so it is historical too. It's got group activities at the end of each chapter and classroom ready lesson plans for teachers. There's also a formation of the Seekers Club in the schools, which is they would meet. It's assuming that the book is going to go, and it is. After the COVID situation, it will start to be part of the curriculum. And the Seekers Club is a group of young teens that are actually seeking God and use the questions to reach out to him and understand who he really is. Salvation is found only in Jesus. That's what the whole book is all about. One journey, the young girl named Elizabeth, she found Jesus from the very beginning to the end in 1 year. And there is, as I said, this historical surprise ending. I mentioned some of the scriptures not the scriptures, but the title of each chapter. And there is more. There's one on prayer. A portrait of Jesus, tell me the true story of Easter, who's the Holy Spirit, the day of Pentecost. And during the day of Pentecost, we put a wonderful book by an indigenous artist, a wonderful picture in the book that she drew, and it's for inclusivity in the schools. You know, inclusivity is quite big. And that is that was really where my heart was, to include everyone in this book, even though it's through the eyes of an Italian Canadian, my daughter, who we talk about our customs and so on, going to church and so on and so on. It has been really evaluated with great testimonials from both York Catholic District School Board representatives and from the Toronto Catholic District School Board. And so it's an invaluable book for the young teens. I just hope that really this book will touch the young people's hearts, so that they can have this wonderful experience of salvation through emails that were found on the computer. And the mother, of course, said, yes, okay, let's try out who this is. And so she finds the answers to all these wonderful questions that she had. And I think that my time might be up. Thank you.
Thank you, Lillian. Thank you so much. That was interesting.
Thank you.
And now we go north to Rosanna Micelotta Battigelli, and she lives in Sudbury, Ontario. Welcome.
Thanks, Delia and Licia, and thanks to the AICW as well. I will be reading a short segment from my novel La Brigantessa, published by Inena Publications of Toronto. And this chapter highlights the situation in post-unification Italy, which would be after 1861. The character in this segment is Don Simone, who is one of the main characters in the novel. Ascending the western slope of Mount Gallica, Don Simone Oliveri anticipates his retreat with his friend Don Filippo, abbot of the monastery of the Cappuccini in the hamlet of Gerace. He prods his mule Vittorio around a series of ruts toward the last stretch of road leading to the monastery. Don Simone waves at the appearance of Don Filippo. The abbot is striding toward him, his cassock billowing. Don Simone dismounts, and as he embraces his friend, another monk takes the mule away to be tethered, groomed, and fed. Don Filippo opens the thick dome door of the monastery. Their shoes slap the slate floor as they pass through a series of rooms and narrow halls that lead to an open courtyard. Don Simone feels the fatigue of his 2-hour journey begin to dissipate as he breathes in the familiar herbal scents in the garden maintained by Brother Domenico, who enjoys a well-earned reputation for his culinary concoctions, both within the monastery and outside its walls. Don Filippo and Don Simone turn into a vine-edged doorway and continue down the corridor until they reach a sitting room. In one corner, a table has already been set with fresh linen and cutlery. Brother Saverio, the newest member of the order, enters the room and offers them a tray with 2 cups, a steaming kettle of fennel tea, and several fresh golden brown panini that are split in half and drizzled with olive oil and oregano, accompanied by several wedges of sheep's cheese that is made on the premises. Eat, mangia, Don Filippo bids Don Simone. The edge of his hunger appeased after finishing his panino, Don Simone leans back before retrieving a parchment from within his cassock. He recalls the shock of reading its contents 2 days earlier. I have some news to share with you, Filippo. His voice catches. Not good enough, however, to warrant a celebration. Simone, what is it? Don Filippo leans forward, frowning. Has something happened to a family member? Don Simone takes a deep breath. No, nothing like that, thank God. He hands a letter to Don Filippo. I have been informed by the state that my church lands have been sold. He slumps back in his chair while Don Filippo reads the letter. I'm truly sorry for you, Simone. It is a disgrace, the number of religious orders that are being suppressed by the new state. Church properties auctioned off like fattened goats to the land-owning classes. Don Simone bites his lip. General Garibaldi's victory in ousting the Bourbons under King Francis II from the Southern Territories has brought changes none of them could have foreseen. How many bodies maimed and lives lost to become one nation under King Victor Emmanuel II. Months after Garibaldi's victory in Naples and Sicily, the territories were called to pledge their allegiance to the new state by way of a plebiscite, and those voting yes seemed to be enjoying special privileges in the aftermath of unification. Don Simone's jaw tenses. It is a known fact that the dozen or so monasteries that were known to have voted no for the plebiscite for the annexation of regions for Italian unity were shut down by the new state. He clears his throat. So tell me, good brother, how did you manage not to get shut down? Don Filippo rubs his chin. I think perhaps we were not as openly hostile to the annexation proposal as some of our brothers. We quietly voted no without stirring up the villagers, as some of our more outspoken and subversive brothers have been doing. Don Simone sets down his tea. I am neither overly outspoken nor subversive, and yet he hears his voice crack. Unable to go on, he wipes the corner of his eyes with his handkerchief. Oh dear, Don Filippo places a hand on his arm. What a shock this has been for you. He glances again at the letter. You'll still conduct masses, he offers consolingly. Apparently so, Don Simone says dryly, but on whom am I to depend with no land, no food, no animals? The collection provides barely enough to pay for a basket of figs, and I don't intend to seek charity from the poor villagers either. They're barely subsisting as it is. He thinks of his laborer, Lorenzo Falcone, who farms and tends the animals. How will Lorenzo's family survive if the new owner dismisses them? Poor Lorenzo, he murmurs. I shudder to think what the news will do to him. Must they leave? Don Simone purses his lips. They may have no choice. You read the letter. It specifically states that once Alfonso Fantin, the new proprietor from northern Italy, takes ownership in July, he may require all vassals and livestock to be dispersed of as quickly as possible. Don Simone takes a loud sip of his tea and sets it down, his eyes starting to prickle again. These are troubled times for the Brotherhood, Filippo. He shakes his head. And to think that most people thought their yes vote in the plebiscite would result in a greater freedom for all. Those poor, deluded souls. If anything, unification has only brought about more poverty. The clanging of bells startles him. His elbow hits the cup and it falls, cracking against the slate floor. He apologizes profusely to Don Filippo, who rings for assistance. As he stoops to pick up the bigger pieces, he thinks how his life and Lorenzo's family's life will shortly become as jagged and shattered as the cup. Thank you.
Thank you, Rosanna. That was really good. And now we go on to Connie Guzzo-McParland from Montreal. Welcome, Connie.
Thank you, Delia. And thank you, AICW, for this reading. I have a work in progress on which I have worked very seriously during the lockdown. And it's a biography of a musical family, the family. However, for this reading, I've decided to get away from that and we'll read a shorter piece. In April of this year, the Quebec Writers Federation initiated a writing series on their website called Chronicling the Days, by which Quebec authors wrote short essays describing a day in their lives during the COVID-19 lockdown. 100 authors contributed to the series, and Wernicke Editions will be publishing an anthology of the essays in the spring of 2021, which will be titled Chronicling the Days, Dispatches from a Pandemic. So look out for it. So I will read my own contribution to this anthology, a short piece titled An Uneasy Siesta. As controversy over the severity of COVID-19 dominated the airways, I felt a sense of relief when the Quebec Premier finally took decisive action and announced a lockdown. We all take a collective pause and played safe, cocooning in our virus-free homes. I must also confess that for a fleeting moment, I experienced the same pleasure I remember from when, as a student and then a teacher, the school board announced a snow day. Unexpectedly, a present fell from the heavens, the chance to snuggle up in bed, catch up on assignments, read, or simply laze around. The sobering news that followed of increasing infections in the province soon made me realize how infantile that initial pleasure had been. This would not be a worry-free siesta. Still, I resolved to make the most of it. I'd resume working on that nonfiction project. I'd declutter my clothes closet and home office. I might even tackle sorting the boxes of photos that take up precious real estate space in my cabinets. All this while following a daily exercise routine and meal plan. I even bought 2 barbells at Canadian Tire before they sold out. Working from home as a publisher didn't pose any restrictions on me. My team has done it for 10 years. We cancel physical launches and readings, but the more tedious clerical chores of running a publishing house remained. I set out with a well-set-out plan. A month later, self-isolation has dictated its own agenda. I wake up early, have breakfast, and work on my writing project until email notifications pop up on my laptop and I lose my focus. After a shower, the TV beckons. I can't miss Justin Trudeau's daily briefings. CTV local news follows with reports of the daily toll of infections and deaths in Montreal nursing homes. While having my salad, I tune in to the Italian news on Rai TV for the European perspective, with more heartbreaking news of understaffed hospitals and seniors dying without a proper burial. I switch to CNN next for American breaking news, only to be aggravated by the wacky statements of their so-called president. The above-mentioned publishing chores take up most of the afternoon, with newly discovered Zoom imposing virtual meetings at all hours of the day. In the afternoon, a daily short brisk walk is a must to stretch my limbs and clear my fogged up mind, followed by a thankfully cheerful interlude of FaceTime with my grandchildren, whom I haven't hugged in weeks. As I sit for another round of news, 2 barbells look at me wistfully from my sofa. But my walk should count for something. I cook dinner without counting macronutrients at this hour of the day. Reluctantly, I make a valiant attempt at decluttering. The 11 o'clock news repeats much of what I've heard throughout the day, but I still watch. After a month, I have advanced somewhat on my writing project, but have barely finished organizing my desk drawer files and have yet to touch the photos. Plastic bags of unwanted clothes litter my bedroom floor since the donation centers are closed. The exercise routine and meal plan, well, ambivalence is slowly creeping in. Besides fear of sickness, death, and the decreasing worth of my RRSPs, I wonder if this dubious gift of self-isolation will produce writing worthy of the gravitas and significance of the times, preoccupied as I am with the news and the trivial occupations of life, not to speak of the Zoom meetings. At times, I suffer brief moments of despair at the monotony and predictability of each day. Yet, is it not precisely those banal daily routines that this corona of a virus has stolen from so many, and the thousands on ICU respirators are struggling to regain? Thank you.
Thank you, Connie. We all feel what you feel. And I guess this completes the first session of our readings.
That's right. We're going to take a little pause just to remind you of some of the activities that the AICW is organizing. Next Wednesday at 4 o'clock, we're having another session with Rosaria Moretti Lauri and Maria Pia Spadafora. It's the Quattro Chiacchiere in Italiano, which is your opportunity to either chat or to listen to Italian speakers. They're both Italian teachers. One is in Winnipeg and one is in Milano. So anybody who's interested, whether you're a member or not, you're welcome to come. If at any time you have questions about the AICW or its activities, you can email info@aicw.ca. The other thing that you must be aware of by now is that we are in our 16th week of Shut Up and Write that I co-host with Annalisa Panatti every Thursday morning, Eastern Standard Time. So from 10 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. It's an opportunity to get some of that writing done if you're, if you want to feel like part of a community, since we can't get together physically. We get together on Zoom, and yeah, so anyone is welcome to join us. And the other thing that you may have noted in your agendas already is our monthly webinars with the Italian Cultural Institute of Montreal. We just had one this week, a very nice gathering with writers who spoke about writing about food, and from very different perspectives. And we have the next one coming up on October 8th at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, because we have some participants from Europe, and therefore it was easier to put it in the afternoon Montreal time. And that is a sort of un assaggino of our conference, the Torino conference that was supposed to be held on October 8th, or at least starting on October 8th, 2020, which has been postponed to October 2021. We will have the organizers and some of the participants give un assaggino of what is to happen next year, hopefully. Okay, we're still, everything is, uncertain at the moment, but we're hoping that 2021 will be able to gather physically. And with that, over to you, Delia.
Okay, thanks, Licia. And next we have Marisa De Franceschi. Marisa comes from Windsor, Ontario. Marisa.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm just going to read a couple of my random thoughts published by Longbridge. Can you see that?
Yep.
Okay. I'll let the little poems say what they want to say. Becoming a writer. Ooh. Are you there?
Yes.
We can hear you, Marisa. Go ahead.
I don't see anybody.
We see you and we hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. Becoming a writer. If you're to become a writer, you're going to have to develop the skin of a crocodile, the shell of a turtle, the stamina of a bull. Without this hardware, the vultures will claim you. You will disappear from the face of the earth, and no one will ever know you were here. The next one is another poem. Waiting for you. I am parched from all the waiting, like a garden in full summer, thirsty for rain, roots toiling to find moisture deep in the earth. I sit and search my bed for nourishment, for sustenance, but you are far. Your tendrils cannot reach me. Oh, how I wish them here, entwined about me, your arms, your mouth, your fragrant body, here, twirling around mine, climbing and covering me, protecting. With you around me, I am safe. Or am I? Am I instead imprisoned? Am I parched because you are sucking the juices out of me? It is my need, is it my need that camouflages as desire? Now there is a thought. Perhaps you should come home before it takes root. The next one is called Don't Bring Me Flowers. Don't bring me flowers to temper your guilt. I'll only have to clean up the petals once they fall. Don't buy me fancy cars to make yourself look good. I'll only have to fear the thief who stalks and waits for the kill. Don't gift me with diamonds and sparkling jewels. They will only attract predators I cannot fend off. Don't build me castles fit for a queen. I am not royalty and have no such dream. Bring me instead a bowl of tranquility, a glass of consideration, a pillow of mercy, a blanket of security, but please don't bring me flowers. Grandfathers. Mine had one leg missing, amputated well above the knee, gangrene. That missing limb coaxed me across the ocean. I lost my leg, but got you back instead, he said. I replaced the missing limb. He tells me his missing limb hurts. He can feel it, even though he sees it is not there. Just like you, he says, an ocean apart, but always in my heart. I'll miss you, he says, when you leave again, the way I miss my missing limb. Your absence hurts. Have I gone over the 5 minutes?
Oh, you still have 1 minute.
Well, there's one tiny one. You cry now when you read my words. What makes them so powerful? The fact that they have stained this paper? Why were they of no value when they slipped out of my mouth? Were you deaf? Why do they now have weight and power? They are the same words I once gave birth to and exhaled into the air. But now that I've caught them with this net using pen and paper, now that they are so visible, now that you are forced to confront them, they have power. This is good. I have learned to save my breath and use ink instead. Okay, for me.
Good girl. Thank you, Marisa.
Thank you. How am I going to see you guys again?
Soon, hope.
Oh,
Okay, next we've got Silvia Falsaperla from Toronto.
Okay, can you hear me?
We can hear you. Sit up.
Okay. Okay, I have two. Okay, everyone can hear me.
Yes, yes.
Okay, all right.
yes, yes.
I'm going to read two poems and they're interrelated. The first one is entitled Coyote. From the deep ravine it appeared in the winter garden, espied from the large bay window. It held the moment. What are you? A fox? You're too big to be a fox, mesh of white, gray, red fur. You're the wolf from the ravine, trickster, contemplating which fence to jump over. Linger a little longer so that we can behold you a little longer, animal, integral. To think that you are trapped to be fur trim around the hood of a fleece-stuffed winter coat. The next poem is called or entitled Darlene's Desk. She's a feng shui master, her desk in the center of the large bay window facing the garden. The tin owl on the tree trunk hoots. The ceramic fairy whispers in the leaves, but real deer saunter in to chew petunias and marigolds. A lone coyote slips in unnoticed from deep in the ravine. Here, animals come and take us into the first garden, where words were formed, in the open air where we breathe the meaning of things, on our desk or a pile of books, where words come home finally, labored from love or loss or some other emotion. On the floor is the lyre, a standing wing that quivers or whispers or weeps its songs of love or loss, or even melancholy. Last is a portrait of the muses, pearls in their hair, their robes ruby. May they serve her well when they play their instruments. They attend to her with their notes, subtle, sprightly, and sweet, as they attend to any welcomed visitor. Thank you. That is all.
Thank you, Silvia. That was great. Now we go to Anna Villapiana, and I think the middle part of the name is Ciardullo. Did I say that right?
Yes, you did.
Okay, well, welcome.
Okay, thank you so much. The poem I'd like to share with you today is about cancer. I wrote this poem as my contribution to Il Grido dell'Anima, which is an anthology published recently in Rome, where all the authors were invited to write a message of strength and hope to the people who are fighting cancer. And I guess I'm gonna be the only one reading in Italian of the group. And I dedicated this poem to my sister. Ero incinta, portavo nel grembo la vita. Ti avevano diagnosticato un tumore al seno, avevi dentro la morte. Il mio grido di gioia si scontrava col tuo grido di dolore. Le nostre anime si incontravano sull'Atlantico all'imbrunire. La mia preghiera sfidava le tue paure. Eravamo lontane, eppure ti sentivo vicina. Ci guardavamo nude, ognuna nel proprio specchio. I miei seni turgidi, il mio ventre sempre più duro, il tuo seno ferito, l'ultima ciocca di capelli che stringevi tra le tue dita. Ti regalai un foulard, lo mettesti con cura a nascondere un cranio ormai calvo. La mia preghiera incontrava il grido del tuo dolore sull'Atlantico, al buio. Nacque la bimba in una notte d'inverno, tra voci miste di gioia e pianto. Dai miei seni uscivano gocce di latte a nutrire la vita. Nelle tue vene scorrevano gocce di chemio a sfidare la morte. Ti vedevo sul letto senza la forza di parlare, avrei voluto essere lì mentre i tuoi occhi chiedevano aiuto. Ti parlavo attraverso i grani del rosario che sgranavo con cura. Le mie parole affondavano con quelle gocce di chemio sull'Atlantico, all'alba. Finalmente lo varcai. Quando il caldo ti costrinse a togliere il foulard, vidi i tuoi capelli, timidi, stavano crescendo. Era d'estate. Posi mia figlia tra le tue braccia. Le mie lacrime di gioia si mescolavano alle tue. Ce l'avevamo fatta entrambi a lottare per cullare un'altra vita. The second poem I want to read is part of another anthology and it's called Sulle orme di un desiderio. Excuse me. I was chasing a desire like trying to capturing the wind of an impossible love consumed in dreams away from reality. Soffiavi come un vento leggero. Sul mio corpo ti sentivo arrivare come uragano. Accostavo l'orecchio e tutto si faceva quiete. I capelli erano di seta, gli occhi erano rapiti da un verde intenso. Non ero io, ero il riflesso delle tue parole. Non era mia l'immagine, era l'involucro dei tuoi desideri. Mi guardo adesso, lontana nel tempo e nello spazio. Cosa vedo? La scala di un sogno i cui gradini non hanno mai saputo scendere né salire. Sono rimasti immobili come ciechi in fila ad aspettare. Guardo te adesso da lontano. Cosa vedo? Capelli sconvolti e occhi rapiti da un verde che non è mai stato quello dei miei occhi. Dopotutto eri vento che si insinua tra le soglie, scoverchia i tetti. Ma se alzi lo sguardo, sta già inseguendo altre nuvole. In tante ne hai disperso, ma rapita nessuna. And finally, I want to read a poem from my latest collection of poetry, Al di là del mare. which is a poem about life. E poi ci spogliamo come alberi d'autunno per rivestirci con le stesse foglie che lasciammo cadere, laceri abiti che ci rattoppiamo addosso nell'attesa di un vento gelido che copre i rami di neve, spazzando ogni cosa. Braccia verso il cielo dalle quali spuntano germogli ad alimentare il cuore e battiti, soffi di vita, sogni, parole nuove. Poi corri, ti fermi e respiri, corri ancora, ti fermi a pregare. I sentieri si popolano di falsi sorrisi, di suoni allungati, di braccia che ti stringono forte, di occhi che scrutano dentro e baci sul cuore. E mentre ti scivola addosso la valanga che cresce, cerchi di sole nascosti, dietro nuvole bianche e notti di stelle, mani che scivolano su un corpo scudo, prigione che libera l'anima. E i sogni volano intorno ai pensieri con le mani di sfiori, poi corri e ti fermi ad amare, corri ancora e ti fermi a sognare. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. And if I didn't say it before, you're from Kitchener, right?
That's right.
Ontario. Thank you. And now we go west to Anna Foschi, Ciampolini. So welcome, Anna.
Thank you. So I have a little divertissement that I wrote a couple of days ago, and I'll get started because it's a mini short story by the title, Keeping Promises. The baby fig tree finally found a home. The scion survived in a flower pot through the cold and rain of Vancouver's winter, a remarkable feat for a ficofiorone from sun-drenched southern Italy. In the summer, it sprouted a bunch of new leaves, but our backyard was way too small for it. Fig trees grow very big and can live up to 200 years. This baby was obstinately hanging on to life, but for how long? She wanted to protect it. The sapling held a promise of beauty, prosperity, refreshing shade, and a bounty of luscious green figs, if it could survive and become a majestic tree. 3 years earlier, she had met a man on social media. He was a retired farmer living in southern Italy. She lived alone, content with her work and community activism. But that chance encounter infused new energy into her life. Then he came to Vancouver to meet her and make plans. On one of his trips, he hid the fig scion in his suitcase, despite her warnings about Canada customs penalties. But he was a stubborn Southern Italian man who did not believe in rules and regulations. Many Italians don't, anyway. He told her, "It's my gift. I will always take care of it when I come back." But he did not come back. Her friend Lillian asked, "So, when is Roberto coming?" They were sitting in her backyard, sipping aranciata. "He's not coming. We parted ways. It was a bitter split." Her friend gasped, "Wow, what happened?" "Well, he said that his kids were not happy with our relationship and he couldn't risk alienating them. His kids are in their mid-30s. By the way, shouldn't they think about their own lives?" Liliana sighed. "Not necessarily. Italians in Italy have their views. We are Italian Canadians. It's a bit different." I told him that we could remain friends. I told him he could call me whenever he felt like. Do you know what he told me? That he's busy. Made me feel like a piece of garbage, disposable, at my age. Liliana muttered, "Bastards. Young or old, men are always bastards." She glanced at the baby fig tree. "Where did you get it?" "He brought it. I cannot take care of it. Do you like it?" You can have it. You have such a huge property. Come on, take it home. The phone rang. The hell, I won't answer. The call display showed an old friend's number. He wanted to take her out to dinner. I'm here in North Van, close to your digs. I had some business this side of the inlet. Come on, let's go for dinner. Greek, Persian, Italian, take your pick. But let's stay close to the sea bus. I didn't take the car today. Their conversation at the restaurant was pleasantly generic. She was relieved. Better to talk about friends or the happenings at the Italian Center rather than getting personal. She noticed that his hair, still thick and wavy, had turned completely white. She wondered if he was noticing her wrinkles. He said, I better go. Will you walk me to the sea bus? Of course. Look, the next sailing is in 15 minutes. I'll wait here with you. They were in front of the sea bus station. Only a few people were waiting. He looked at her. Is everything okay, bella ragazza? You look sad. I'm fine. Good, but if you need anything, call me. I keep my promises. He caressed her hair lightly. Then he took her face in his hands and kissed her. It was a long, tender, sensual French kiss. She was stunned. She worried about the passers-by. This was ridiculous. Two seniors kissing like that in public. But it was sweet, and it was, maybe, a promise. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. And I guess you're the last reader of the day. And it was nice because there was such a mixture of readings and poetry and everything, history, romance. So anyway, thank you all. That was just great. So thank you. And Licia, I don't know where Licia is, but she'll return
Here.
to wave us goodbye.
If you click on gallery view, you can see everyone at the same time.
Okay, got you again.
There it is.
There. Now I can see everybody's face.
Okay. So we have, oh wow, it's already 5:59. That passed fast.
Yeah. Everyone's a lot of good looking people.
If you would like if there's, actually we do have some people who did not read who are here just as part of the audience. If anyone has any questions, there weren't any questions that were included in the chat. Before I do that, Anna Foschi, I believe you have an event to advertise. Your event on?
Well, if we have a minute of time, a few seconds, I'd like to advertise and promote our next Books and Biscotti event in Vancouver in cooperation with World Vancouver. It's going to be on September 23rd, 7:30 p.m. Pacific time.
Thank you. So thank you, Anna. If anyone has any questions, audience members, if you have questions, just unmute or raise your hand. I think you have somewhere to click a hand. Ask a question to one of the readers or just a general question. Delia, if you have any questions for the readers. Thank you very much, everyone, for your contributions. They were all very different, but all very pleasant to listen to.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
For Lillian Conti.
Yes.
I'm wondering, her book, Where is God? Yes. I'm wondering if it's going into the schools and where Lillian lives, like where this book is being distributed.
Well, I live in Woodbridge. I was trying to send you the rest of the message.
Oh, okay.
Yes, it's headed to the schools. I've introduced it to the Catholic school boards here, and one in Ottawa, which is the separate school board in Ottawa is waiting for this. It's a new edition because I had to put a lot of things that would help with the inclusivity issue of our schools, in our Catholic schools. And so, yes, it's going to go, but I'm in the middle now of making a launch for them after this COVID. It was supposed to go into the schools, but with COVID, we had to postpone the conferences that I was heading for with all the bishops and so on. So,
And is the publisher Longbridge?
No, it isn't.
Oh,
It's not. We'll have to talk about that because I'm looking for, it is published by Tell Well. That was when I started the publishing process about 2 years ago. But I'm looking for someone closer by.
And Woodbridge in Alberta?
No, this is Woodbridge in Canada. I mean, in Toronto, right north of Toronto, in Ontario.
Can I email you privately?
Sure, sure.
Okay. Thank you.
You have my email?
I'll find it.
Okay, I'm sure. Thank you. I'll be looking forward to hearing from you. Thank you.
I just wanted to say that of all the events that I've been to, this was just great because such a variety of writing, and it was just beautiful to listen to. So
Agreed.
thank you all.
Thank you.
It was great.
Thank you.
Thank you for hosting it. It was a
Yes.
lovely event.
I want to thank both of you because it's a lot to organize. You sent us over and over information to keep us motivated and keep us going.
Oh, you're welcome. Licia is the power.
Yes.
Oh, good, good.
Powerhouse.
I do have a question for Licia about, I haven't joined in any of the Shut Up and Write because I figured it was prose, that people are writing stories or working on novels. Is anyone writing poetry?
Well, actually, let me explain how Shut Up and Write works. You show up, you start at 10 o'clock with a clock.
Yeah, and you're right.
You write 25 minutes in 25 minute spurts, 5-minute breaks. So you're actually doing your own writing, and we are not sharing our writing, at least not during 2.5 hours. We are essentially encouraging one another to keep writing. We take 5-minute breaks every 25 minutes. And during the 5-minute breaks, all kinds of things are discussed. Everything from, you know, I mean, you should come just for the breaks.
Wonderful. Really wonderful.
I mean, we actually want to, just from the breaks, you've seen some of the events we've had called Connections about family heritage, migration, which was hosted by Eloise Carbone, Dennis Mayone, and Francesco Esposito. That came out of the conversation during breaks because we never had enough time to continue, you know, the discussion. So they started this new group. And it's really a lot of fun. Personally, I haven't been able to do any writing, but that's just me. During this period, I'm not able to write, but I get a lot of work done during 2.5 hours. I mean, if you haven't done your taxes, that's the place to do to fill out your tax forms.
Oh, dear.
Do you have any other questions for our readers? I have a question very quickly, and this is open to everyone. In some of your readings, it was quite clear that it was from a personal experience, that you were motivated by something that happened in your life or in somebody's life that you knew about to write about it. Doesn't matter, independently of the genre. But I'm interested in asking, and this is open to everyone, how much of your writing, whether it's poetry, and sometimes not as evident, when you're reading, how much of your writing, not just what you read today, but just generally speaking, is based on something autobiographical, something that was lived? do you draw inspiration from your lived experiences, even if it might be, a chance encounter on the bus, and develop that further? Or how do you go about it? So this is anybody who wants to answer.
Well, personally, I take my own experiences and then write from the heart, and I think that's the best place to start. You know all about it. You examine the heart, and the writings that the readings of the writings we heard today, it was a lot of it from that heart experience, and I think that's wonderful. And I want to encourage some of you. May I do this? This little book that I wrote many years ago is now in the Campidoglio, in the gallery, in the library at the Congress. But this is all of me coming from Italy when I was 10 years old and years after that. So it's the experience from an immigrant, from the experience of an immigrant girl. So it can get you a lot of emotional background that you can bring it forth. So yes, I do write from personal experience.
Does anyone else want to? Delia?
Well, I don't write incidents or anything, but there's always some little thing from the past or from my life that somehow brought the energy to write the story.
Yes.
I don't know, it's just in the subconscious, or I don't know. I don't understand it really, but I know I sometimes think that, yeah, it's all there inside of us.
Well, since you answered that question, Delia, I've been curious for years and years and years, and now that everybody's here, I'd like to ask you the question. There are two stories that really struck me of yours that I read. One is the one about the woman who's waiting for the sample to taste the muffins in the grocery store. Remember that? I forget what the title is, and I want to know if that was based on something that you.
Yeah, go on. Sorry.
Yeah,
go on.
It was something that you witnessed, and the other one was about the woman who chance encounter meets someone at the shopping center, and they have an ice cream together, and then they part in the parking lot. I thought that was a very warm, very sensuous story. And I was, you don't have to answer, but I've always wanted to ask you if those were based on.
I thought you were going to ask about the story where she puts a knife up, and she wants to slice the cheek of her husband, and that's going to leave her.
No.
I thought that's the one you're going to ask.
No. I want to know.
No, the muffins one, that is probably my only story that's, well, I have a couple. There are based on true incident. Well, one story is the whole incident is real, so it's like a memoir piece almost. And that story in the store, it was true to, I mean, I had to change it and embellish it, but the character, I got it from years and years ago. I worked as in a big department store, doing the passing out samples of food. I don't know what you call them. Yeah, whatever. I wasn't there very long, but the dialogue of that woman was pretty close to what I wrote.
Okay.
And it's how I felt.
Yeah.
About it. And that story is in high school literature in the East Coast somewhere, and it's a story that they actually paid me $300, and then I don't have the rights to it anymore, but it's a book in school now.
Okay.
It's Biscotti, like in for literature courses.
And the other one, the ice cream in the parking lot with the man?
No, that was just, I don't know where it came from. Probably something. I don't know.
Um,
Licia?
yes, exactly. Caroline.
Hi, yes, if I can speak up.
Yes,
I think that poetry always starts with an individual observation or an individual experience, even if it takes on a historic context. My story of St. Francis, for example, because first of all, I love St. Francis, and I think a lot about peace and warfare and the horrible things that are going on. So every line was my feeling that I want to express this. And the same with the two friendship poems. And I often write little profile poem of somebody I know. I wrote a poem about Jean Lamond for her retirement from being the artistic director of Tafelmusik Baroque Orchestra. And we were all asked, everybody on the board was asked to submit something. And I thought, well, I'll write a sonnet. And they put it in the program of the 25th of the retirement concert, which was her 31st year as artistic director. So I was really, it's a personal response. Poetry is always a personal response, but it might be about a subject or a person or something else. It has to start with your heart, though.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, so does anyone else have a question? Otherwise, we will close. Darlene, did you want to say something? No? Okay. All right, so, well, it was great to listen to all of you. Delia, do you have any final words? Oh, Delia, unmute, please.
Okay, sorry. I hope we have another event, and I think we should. Another Books and Biscotti.
I'm sure we will. I mean,
That would be good.
to have a monthly Books and Biscotti Zoom, right? Obviously, I mean, I'm sure all of you ladies would be very understanding if we gave the opportunity to new people, another 8 people to read or to talk about their works. Yes, Delia, I think we should do this monthly. Okay, so we'll choose another date. Is, you know, Friday at 5 o'clock. I don't know if that works for everybody. Does that work for everybody?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank all of you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Nice
Thank you, the other readers. Yeah,
Thank you.
bye.
See you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Have a great weekend, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye now.
Bye.
Bye.